Good morning. I've still got the crappy hair that I cut myself. This is held on with Ghost Bond Supreme, and because this is so haggard now and the front part of the poly's had a few hairs ripped out over the last 5 weeks because I've been doing that and everything. I'm going to take it off, and I did give myself a really bad haircut just using a beard trimmer instead of scissors, just to try to compensate for the fairly bad haircut that I got. Now we've seen that lace is a lot more realistic along the front hairline than poly, but as I've said, poly is a lot easier to work with. It's a lot less maintenance. I found poly is fantastic on the first day, and then it starts getting gluey. Glue comes through and it melts, etc. Also, I've gone from using Ultra Hold every single day to trying out this Ghost Bond Supreme. So the battle is between these two at the moment. This one I've been using for years, and this one I've always had trouble with because I've never really done it properly, and I always thought there were a lot of shortcomings with that. But there are a lot of shortcomings with Ultra Hold. Ultra Hold melts at about 25 degrees Celsius and above. But the other problem now with poly, and also just summer in general, is that there is a layer of sweat that develops underneath the glue. And I've shown this to be true whether it's with poly, which is ultra holding the heat in, making more sweat, or even with lace. So with lace, the glue is still creating a blockage over the scalp and preventing it from venting heat. But it's still venting some heat. It's venting more heat with the lace, so it's not as sweaty, but it's still sweaty. There are products that you can put on your scalp, such as Max Hold Sport. Is it Max Hold Sport? And No Shine. I haven't tried using just spray on antiperspirant, but that could work too. So the first thing I'm going to do now is just show you how well, after 3 days, I haven't really been out that much in the sun. I have a little bit, but not too much. How well Ghost Bond has been holding as I rip this off. Okay, so I'm just going to grab my hair. It's quite short, and this is another thing. Shorter hair has less leverage with a fringe and so on to be flopping around and ruining your front hairline. Or if you just cement it in position all day and you don't do this all day long, then it's going to last longer as well. So the less you touch your front hairline, the longer it'll last. Now I have a very high confidence that poly would really last for months if you don't stretch it and wreck it. And I've been very rough with this one. So there are a few hairs along the front that are missing. I've cut away to what I consider to be way too short front hairline. The hairpiece I think should come down lower. And also with the poly, you can see the hairline is quite unrealistic. Even though I have bleached the knots blonde along the front, not knots, the roots. You can't get to the knots, there aren't knots, it's just V-loops with the poly. So I'm just going to grab the hair here and just try to rip it off my head like you would in a fight, okay? So you can see the flexing a little bit, not really muscle, but I'm pulling as hard as I can, and there, now it's released. Obviously, if I'd grabbed it on the edge, it would have been a lot easier. Damn, that's irritated. I've also found that Ghost Bond Well, it looks like Ghost Bond causes my scalp irritation. I've never had irritation like this before. That looks really bad. No wonder I was itchy. I've never been itchy with Ultra Hold. So something that's happening with the sweating is reacting with the Ghost Bond potentially, unless I did something to my scalp. That's something to consider. I really don't feel like I want to put that on again today. Maybe I'll try it again in the future, but maybe I'll just go straight to Ultra Hold again. So just pressing it back down, let's see if it can re-glue itself without having to be redone completely. Okay. When I talk about the hairline being too high, you can even see, if the camera is good enough, that I've got natural hairs coming out here. So that's all the way back up to there. Plus the hairs are missing there. So just to fixing it back down, it does stick back down again an instant after I pulled it up. Obviously it lost stickiness after I lifted it up and pushed it back, and that's what it looks like. And you've seen in the past how I've just grabbed the edge of some Ultra Hold and just started peeling away at it. Let's see if Ghost Bond is just as easy to peel off the poly. There's somewhere it's left the glue on my head instead of on the hairpiece. So with the Ghost Bond, it breaks apart from itself and doesn't stick to itself in a clean ball like the acrylic glue. Ultra Hold. Ghost Bond is a water-based glue, so it's it'll be a considerably bigger job, but still not difficult to clean off the poly with the Ghost Bond. You can see the colour difference there where I've bleached along the front to try to make the wall of hair disappear with the poly, because the natural hair's colour is like that, and that's where I've bleached. So it's bleached, not bleached. And the new piece I'll be wearing today is this one. This is of some concern to me, this red scabby bleeding bit here. Also, it seems like I've got bubbles that have developed throughout, and it's quite itchy. So I'll definitely be having a shower before I attach the new hairpiece. I get the suspicion from this that I am allergic in some way to Ghost Bond. Because if you've seen most of my other videos, unless I've just grabbed the baby wipe and just gone like that, this redness doesn't generally happen to me. Now you can see the mess being created up here of all the bits of Ghost Bond, making for a more difficult cleanup. I have no doubt that it'll come out in the shower when I have full access, but with Ultra Hold I can just grab a piece of it and just get it all basically all out in one little bit. Whereas Ghost Bond disintegrates. So with all the other negatives about the Ghost Bond, despite the fact that it did seem to hold well enough, Ultra Hold is still better. Not just because of the lack of rash that it seems to cause me. The rash could be caused by some other time that I was shaving my head incorrectly or something, and any kind of glue or lack of exposure to air could have done this, but At the moment I look like the Darth Vader on the stairs. Remove the mask. Look, let me look at you with my own eyes. That's what my head looks like at the moment. So, I'm glad I live by myself. I'm gonna have a coffee and a cigarette and stuff, and then have a shower, and then change it. If I lived with other people, I'd have to just do all this in a bathroom. And bathrooms almost never have air conditioning, right? So that can be the hottest room in the house in summertime. Okay, I'll get back to you. Okay, so this time I'm going to put antiperspirant in my hair. I think I'll try no sweat. I could potentially try this antiperspirant or the Max Hold Sport, but it didn't seem to do anything last time. I think the idea is that it's supposed to block the pores so it doesn't come through. Now, because of this rash, these abrasions here, I'm not going to shave. So that's really not proper scalp preparation, is it? But I tend to take it off once a week anyway. We'll give a chance for this stuff to heal. This pump seems to be severely blocked up. There's nothing spraying out of here, even though it's full. Maybe in there it's clogged a bit. It seems like this bit. No. The mechanism seems to be either broken or something in there has dried and clogged it. Maybe in there somewhere it's blocked, I don't know. I'm going to take the lid off this. It seems like a universal. That's not even the same company. But I'm guessing there's a universal kind of size that, yeah, it does work. Okay. I'm just spraying out the alcohol that would have been stuck in the tube first. Has a nice eucalyptus-y type smell, or lavender maybe. Lavender. It's even purple, so I assume that's what they were going for. And if I'm not mistaken, this stuff doesn't matter if you get it on your forehead or anything like that. Just don't get it in your eyes. So I think that should dry within about 30 seconds. And as I said, today I'm going to be using, by the way, without a lid, I assume this will just be gone within about 2 hours. So given that I use that all the time, I'm just going to put this lid back on the alcohol and put this broken one back onto the No Sweat, a Pro Touch, which you can buy from Hair Direct. But don't buy the hair from the Hair Direct. HairDirect.com. They sell lots of bits and pieces. They can't ship flammable things internationally though. Yeah, it says flammable on the side of this Ultra Hold, whereas I doubt this is flammable. This is acrylic, so that's flammable. This is not flammable. This is definitely flammable. Still feels wet, but when it dries I'll put this on. I'll put it onto there. Then I'll put this on with the help of the alcohol spray, which I'll clean the no shine out of it so it doesn't affect anything. Then once that's just down to there, I'll flip back the poly and I'll glue the front of the poly and then I'll stick it down so it will just land perfectly. And unlike the other hairpiece that I just took off, which I just smashed to pieces with the beard trimmer, I will use scissors to cut it this time. So it should look nice. It should also be about 1/2 centimetre longer because this uses the new stencil. So I'm just going to glue the hairpiece now with Walker Ultra Hold. It's actually Walker Tape Company Ultra Hold. I suppose originally they just made tape and then they went into adhesives. Tape seems more mess free, but because of the particulars of everybody's individual scalps and everything, it makes sense that each user gets to use an adhesive. However, if you've got to access the back of your own head, potentially that's the way a lot of you are doing it, just putting tape on there, so you really don't have to aim the glue. But like I say, you could glue a poly hairpiece so that it's exact and it's as thin as possible and would probably have more stick than a tape. And if it is poly, then you know it's easy to clean. So if you are using tape for the back of your hairpiece because you haven't got a back mirror to glue, you know that you don't need to if you use poly. You can just glue the poly and then kind of feel. No, I think I don't know what you guys are doing. You need to wet the hairpiece so you can see through the hairs, otherwise it's too hard to see through. Put it on, and in your case I'd say maybe go to a hairdresser to get the hair cut because, I don't know, it seems pretty hard to cut the back of your own head. I suppose a lot of you are spending money on the extras. When you go to a hair piece checkout, to get it pre-cut to the length that your last hairpiece was, etc. Which means you're probably just buying one piece at a time because it's too expensive otherwise. But I recommend always have surplus. In fact, I would say it's crazy not to have spare hair pieces ready to go, cut and ready to go. It doesn't have to be cut like a haircut ready to go if you want to get them cut by a hairdresser. But I guess it makes sense that you just get them done from the hair company, cut and ready to go. Just buy a bunch of them. My scalp is looking rather red and raw at the moment. So, because I know that camera doesn't allow you to see everything accurately, I can tell you right now, because I haven't shaved my head, I can see where the hairs come down to. So, the lowest one is right there. I'm indenting my forehead with the comb, so hopefully you can see that indentation. And maybe you can even see the tiny little hairs that are along that indentation line. And you can also see that's also the very top of the nub, the highest nub on my forehead. Where that highest nub is, you can see the shadow coming downwards. If the light was going upwards, you'd see a shadow right there. That's the top of my forehead. If hair is placed over that nub or beyond that nub, then every time you raise your eyebrows in surprise, you'll be kind of loosening and bending the front of your hairline. So you might want to go just a little bit higher than that nub if you can aim exact enough. So when I come back, and I'm not going to stay here, I'm going to edit this for you like I did last time. I will put some alcohol along the back line there, comb out those hairs that are stuck along the line back there a bit, and then place this hairpiece, which I've just wet and then placed on a towel. I've wet it so that I can see through the hairs when I'm placing it on, otherwise it's too fluffy to see through. And I'll put it down to there, then I'll put it back, and then I'll put the hairband over that front bit to keep it stuck back, so that I can then glue the front of the poly piece and then wait for it to dry and then push it down. It's very hot in this room, I'm starting to sweat. I'm going to go back into the air conditioning and I'll see you instantly. And we're back. You don't want it too slimy, otherwise it'll take forever to absorb into the skin or evaporate, whatever happens. Oops, I've brushed it the wrong way. If I put it on there first, I won't be able to see what I'm doing. See, because that's the front hairline, and I need to see that part, the back of the unit, because that's where it'll meet with my natural shaved hairline. Still haven't really figured out a term for shaved hairline, because I mean at the moment it is my hairline, but it's not going to ever be publicly my hairline. By the way, I'm putting the hairpiece on my knee and brushing it because it's a good place for it. So I could try to fold this in half, but I still can't see exactly where that would line up exactly. Make an indentation there and try to put a comb mark where I think the center of my scalp should be. Seems like a logical first step. Something I forgot to do. Make sure these hairs back here are out of my way. There are a couple little hairs that have fallen in over here. A couple of bits over here that haven't really received the right amount of glue, which means it'll peel up over there. You know what, I'm going to do the right thing and add more glue to that back section, just so the next 3 weeks aren't painful for me. So I'm going to wait another 10-15 minutes. So I'm putting my thumbs on either side of the temples, and I'm going to jiggle it into position, trying to guess a little bit where it should land. Trying not to get too much of an overhang, or definitely not a gap. This should fit a bit better than my last one. Well, it should fit most perfectly. Just don't want it to end up like a beret on an angle, which often happens. That looks like it's probably going to land in the right spot. So by default, I think these hairs are 5 inches long. This is a 0.03mm poly from lordhair.com. I got it in a 6-pack for $520 by using the StickOnHair coupon code, which you can use once per account only, and you must be logged in. If you've ever been to a website before, then you know you have to register before you can log in. So if you want one of these hair pieces, and I recommend you get a 6-pack for $520 American, that's including shipping, go to lordhair.com, find the 6-pack of 0.03mm poly for $699, insert the StickOnHair coupon code, StickOnHair, in the coupon code checkout box before you pay. Then you get that discount. That looks pretty straight. Hopefully there are no gaps or overhangs back here. Looks like there's some overhang here. Potentially the hairpiece is a little bit too wide. We'll see. So we'll put this back on. There is some overhang there. Now using the ultra hold, I'm going to glue the poly along the front. And try not to be too sparing with the glue, otherwise it'll lift. Sometimes I thin it out a bit too much and there's not enough glue. So you want to get along all parts of the front, all the way to the front edge, but really avoid getting in the hair like I just did then. Otherwise those 2 hairs or 15 hairs just then will stick together. The reason I didn't pre-glue the entire hairpiece is because when you put the alcohol on to squiggle it into position, it creates a perimeter of glue that's splashed in to your hairline and all over your forehead. And this way it's locked into position, and now it's just, the glue's going to stay exactly there, and then when I press it down it'll just be an exact, perfect alignment. That's not a stupid question people ask. Why don't I glue my forehead first and then just place down the poly on top? Because then you end up having to guess where that front hairline will land, and there's no need to just glue it there and it's going to be perfect. How am I supposed to line up the hairpiece along there if my hairline goes all the way back down to there? I don't know. You're going to have to need a second mirror that hangs. Potentially glue with one hand, which sounds like a very difficult prospect. Look into the small mirror on this side and then glue around the back like that. How's my bald patch going back here? So I'm going to wait for 15 minutes, then push it down into position. Then I'll give myself a haircut. Okay, so that appears to be not quite dry. But they were just chunky bits that I was pressing on then. The rest is dry. And that will dry without any problems whatsoever. So I'm not going to wait. You can see here I've accidentally put some glue in the hair, the front. That's going to be right down there on the front hairline, clumped together. That is a bit of a problem. Probably a little bit over here as well. Let's see how we go. Also, it looks like there's a bit of curling at the front there. So make sure by pulling on these hairs that it's not something I have to chop off. Otherwise there'll be a little bit of exposed plastic without any hairs coming out, which ruins it a bit. You can't really tell from that little experiment. So I'm just trying to evenly press it out. And I'll get some of these hairs through my thumbs and fingers and just try to pull it down a little bit. Try to make sure there's no curling going on along the front hairline, which would turn 0.03 millimeters into 0.06 millimeters, which would not be good. So there's just water. I'm spraying into my hair now so I can brush it. You may have read in places that you shouldn't be putting water onto any glue, but you can't go through the poly, and this is acrylic, so it doesn't really mind about glue too much. I wouldn't just go and pour water on my head and then try to stick the piece down, but a little bit of water coming in around the edges doesn't seem to really affect anything. And I could just as easily just go and have a shower straight after I put the hairpiece on, or go for a swim straight after I put the hairpiece on. So I'm brushing away the hairs at the back first, so I don't have to do a big, tempt fate of potentially ripping it off. So looking at the line up here on the side, it looks as though that's a fairly good contour coming in from this outer edge down, maybe a little bit higher than I would have liked, but it's come down right down low here on the side. So that means I put the hairpiece on that angle. I was inaccurate with the placement. That kind of contour going straight across like that, a little bit too low. If it was happening on both sides, I'd probably be tempted to try to cut it up a little bit more, maybe halfway as high as that is. It's a little bit higher than I would have liked probably. And the front center there, I curled it, unfortunately. You see a bubble there. Oh, I never had a bubble before. So it looks like that part at the front may have no hairs on it. So it has to come off accurately. Just cutting off that piece there, I can see there were no hairs attached to it, so it's good that I'm getting rid of this. So I assume I cut through a few hairs, yep, at the front, just a little bit. So before I cut my hair, I'm going to correct this contour on the right hand side of my face. You can see here these hairs have stuck together because the glue that I pasted in earlier. But just brushing the comb through it seems to have unstuck them a bit. So you can see this edge of the hair here, even though it's wet, it's hard to tell, is darker than the bleached couple of centimeters here, where I put peroxide on the front of all my poly hair pieces to make sure that there's no wall of hair. There still is a wall of hair compared to lace, but it's a lot less than it would have been if I hadn't have placed it. This point up here is not exact, so while it's still setting, I'm going to risk lifting that up. Get some alcohol spray. Shake around the back here to see how far back the problem goes. comb any hairs out of the way. We'll see if I can improve the accuracy here a bit. Maybe even lower this side down a bit more. You don't want to stretch the hairpiece too much, otherwise it'll become corrugated. So it starts going up from here. There's not much I can do without pulling it away from that top join area. So I'll just basically just stretch it over across a little bit. Because it is plastic, so it does stretch somewhat. I'm just going to try to make it go all the way to the hairline over there and then press down. So hopefully it'll take hold over there. So as you saw just then, I was unable to bring the hairline down any lower. But hopefully I successfully brought it across. Enough, so no one will ever notice. Okay, and those hairs in that spot there are still a little bit glued together. The solution to really doing that, removing the glue from there properly, is to use some C22 spray, but it's not significant enough that I want to bother with that at the moment. Okay, so now I can step back and take an overview look at how wonky this hairline is. So given that that's there, that side needs to be coming up a bit. So I'm going to peel this back on this side. Peeling it back a bit more than I need, just to give myself access. And then I'm going to really minimally, as is reasonable, start trying to cut that front bit out so it comes up more. And after I've cut this, undoubtedly I'll have to cut off some surplus plastic that has no hairs on it now, or has stubble from the inaccuracy of the scissors, which can't be avoided really. I'm just going to do it twice. Like I said, that bit that I just cut off didn't have really any hairs coming out of it. So it is necessary to cut first conservatively and then chop off the excess after. And hairs will come out from there because you've just sliced them inadvertently. As you can see, there's a chunk missing there. I'm just going to leave that chunk missing instead of cutting that bit down there, just to see if it gives it a bit of extra realism, because everyone always talks about not having a dead straight cut. So if it can be a bit jigsaw-y, that could actually add a little bit to the realism, even though that bit there is going to be always wanting to lift probably. And I'm starting to sweat a little bit in this bathroom. Using the comb may have separated these hairs temporarily, but they keep sticking back together because the glue's still there, waiting for its opportunity to strike and stick the hairs together again, right in that spot. So C22 will solve that when I decide if I want to do that later. And I realise this is not going to stop lifting, so I'm just going to get rid of that bit there. And just flatten the existing. Okay. Now I'm just going to put water on my hair and show you how to cut it. Most people wouldn't just have a front partial hairpiece like this. Most people would have a longer hairpiece that probably covers the crown as well. In that case, it could be difficult to cut your own hair. But if you've got enough hairpieces lying around, you've got enough time, you might want to give it a go because it was, oh fuck, I just blinked hair into my eyeball. You might want to just give it a go because it might save you money. And hairdressers often do a really dodgy job because they don't know how to deal with hairpieces. Now I can see back here a major gap. That is a problem. The gap seems to extend all the way along. Then again, the density of the poly is much thicker than my natural hairs. So hopefully when this dries, all this long hair that I've got in my head at the joint point, which I insist that you keep long, even if you have a short haircut, so you can cover the flap more. It seems like there's a major problem there, but it might not be too much of a major problem. While it's wet, hair separates more, but still that does look very pink and exposed. Not that I can have, you have the ultimate visibility from where you're standing. Obviously I can't bend my eyesight around to see what you're seeing with a camera setup, which I haven't installed. So I'll just give myself a haircut and I might fix that some other time if I need to. Okay, so I'm going to do about 4 layers, 4 or 5 layers of length, starting at the shortest at the back, hopefully at the same length or similar length as my natural joint hair length, and then come down to a fringe at the front, which I decided since my last video with the current length of my hair will be about 3/4 of the way down my forehead. Just maybe some of the hairs touching the eyebrows, but not really extending beyond the eyebrows. So cutting in like that, at a guessed kind of length of approximately where I think it should be, because I can always go back and cut off more. And just cutting down bits at a time on angles so it's not straight across. And then this is the second one. Oh shit. It's about the same length. This is the third layer. would try to keep it about the same length as well, because I'm going for a pretty short haircut. Fourth layer. Still once again about the same length as layers 1, 2 and 3. I really don't like it being too short because then I've got no fringe to style with, and also it sticks up a lot because the hair is actually dead. It has no, I don't know, keratin, collagen, I don't know what that is. Going in to oil it or renew it or make it look healthy at any time. So everything we do with hair pieces should be treated the same as sort of grey hair. For any emergence. Now the way that the hair sits has a lot to do with the way the V-loops were placed during the manufacturing process. And when I look at the full-size hairpiece that I chopped 3 out of, and this is one of the 3, I wasn't totally able to see which direction the V-loops were stitched. You want them all running in one direction, otherwise if you've got some in that direction, then they'll still stick out away from each other. Make it difficult to style the hair. I won't be able to really tell fully until it dries. This hair length at the moment is probably a little bit too long overall for the rest of my hair length. Especially when it dries, I'll be able to tell, and those bits on the side will probably have to be contoured to make a shorter cut. But I'm just going to style it now as at the current length and play with it for a few hours and then maybe come back and shove off a bit more. So I was sold this stuff by Hairhouse Warehouse. It's like a leave-in conditioner, but it has no styling properties. It just moisturizes your hair really. Whereas this does give you style, but the amount I put in is often a little bit greasy at the end of it. Having said that, after touching that stuff, or having touched my hair after touching that stuff, that leave-in conditioner, it left smudge prints on my phone. So I can expect basically any hair product in the world is probably going to be a bit oily, greasy. So I've just wet my hands after putting the muck in it so I don't rip any hairs or rip the glue away from their front or anything. And that little bit that I decided not to cut off earlier will probably need to be cut off. Because it's like a little tag, a little tab that is probably never going to want to stick down without the help of its, it doesn't have any strength. So yes, compared to lace, especially Swiss lace, with a medium light density. This is, well, it's called medium light density on Lord Hair's website, but I consider it to be almost medium heavy because it's quite a thick density. And just looking up close, most people won't know that's not real anywhere, but if you brush it back at a glance, you can see that it's kind of a wall of hair. But I have bleached the front knots here. You can see the blondness here compared to up here. So with poly, I'd say it's not bad. I mean, nobody's gonna know, really. But lace, especially low density, medium light density lace, is gonna look far more realistic. But it's a lot of cleanup and mess and maintenance to deal with poly. So to deal with lace, poly's a lot easier than lace to deal with. So I'll leave this brush back for a while, come back to you when it's dry, and we can take another look at the length. That's what it looks like when it's wet. Okay, it's been about 20 minutes. Hair's not completely dry yet, but I'm already able to see that that extra length needs to be chopped off, otherwise it's going to look really strange having really long hair there and then short there. So I want to conform it to the sides a lot more. So without doing this with too much accuracy, famous last words, I'm just gonna grab chunks of hair that seem to be too long over here for a start. Just chop them off. Still pretty long over there, but I knew it was ridiculously long a bit earlier, so that's starting to look better. Ideally, I should really try to match that length there, but I want some kind of fringe. I often miss that. And on this side, clearly that is still looks like way too long. Do the same over here. I'm just going to add a bit of water to weigh it down. And the product, the muck that's in the hair right now, will continue to hopefully just do its job and settle it into a kind of a locked position. It's not the best haircut in the world at the moment, but it's a lot better than it was earlier. And I'm hesitant to cut it too short at this point. So I'm just going to go out because I've run out of cigarettes. I've still got my inhaler, my vaporizer, but I still need the cigarettes. Which constitutes approximately three-eighths of my weekly income. It's fucking expensive here, mate, for cigarettes. It really is. Okay, so that's my haircut for now. A rounded edge t-shirt is not as good as a collared shirt. I should just buy a bunch of collared shirts and always wear them. This is comfortable, but a bit childish now, I think, at 41. T-shirts, unless you're always looking like this. What are you looking at, you know? But I haven't done enough push-ups. So I just look like a fat ass in a t-shirt. Is that it? Is that the end? I might come back a bit later on because I'm not going to edit this now. I might come back and tell you what it looks like when it's dry. That join back there that I was concerned about, if I went swimming, I'd be a bit paranoid about it because it would be just like, you could see my scalp through there and through here. It's probably just going to be a very thick density. But there's a problem like that with all hair pieces unless you do it all the way around, in which case the sides are sort of kind of deemed like a separate entity for a lot of people who have full heads of hair anyway. So I guess at the moment my biggest fear would be that it becomes too boofy, but I can see now that I've got the length at least that I can just add more hair product to keep the weight on it. Those bits there look a lot better on the side, and that as well. So it's good enough for now for me to leave the house. The front hairline is good enough. I mean, it's a bit high. I've got some natural hairs growing about a centimetre lower, but I'm not going to be wearing my hair brushed back anytime soon. And I'm glad that I didn't let the hairdresser cut these bits on top, which is a good reason to just leave the hairdresser early, because otherwise I'll say, oh okay, that's nice. Just cut through there, and then you've got no way to fluff it over the join. Because the join and the hairline are the main things. Because the hair is usually perfect, unless you've got unbleached knots. But hair that you buy anywhere is always usually pretty fucking good. As long as you match your hair colour close enough. And then as it's wet right now, you can't tell the difference, but even if it was dry, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference anyway because this hair colour is good enough for me. Medium dark brown, number 5 at lordhair.com. Okay kids, let's wrap this up. I haven't fixed my hair since I've been walking around with it, going shopping and so on. And a lot of sexy little girls were looking at me funny, and I felt a tingling sensation in my naughty bits. Is that wrong, doctor? Sorry, is that wrong, father? So my hair is good, right? even though my tits are flopping around when I walk and I've got a fat ass, and my t-shirt's the same colour as my shorts, fuck you. Oh shit. Can you see what's happening on my phone there? That's fucked up, man. Just my double chin, I want to stick this phone back together. Well, fuck you for trying to look at my shorts. So this is quite buffy, right? My phone's fucked, man. So, let's see if we can see this join problem back here. Probably not something I'm going to bother to fix, because as you can see, with a bit of fluff in my hair, I don't have to really worry about it. It just covers itself over. What about there? Is that evident? Just remembering, I cannot see the top and back of my own head, only you can. So, only when I watch this video back, if I will watch it back, well I will actually, because I'll be editing it, can I see what's going on here. But as an editor, I'm not going to be watching back every single thing I say. I don't want to watch that. I'll just find the joins. That's what you do with the hairpiece as well. You just try to find the joins and try to make sure that they're not too obvious. The hair length at the moment, I'm going to keep it like this. So that's the end of the video. Like I say, my head looks better than it did before I got it cut. And I found this pattern when I've got short sides, I get more reaction from girls. Big fluffy hair, I get no real reaction because I look unkempt, I suppose. But I suppose now I kind of look neat. It doesn't look ideal, and these look a bit weird. I'm trying to run parallel with my nasolabial folds. But at least I look neat. Always remember the sideburns play a very important role in your hairdo. Okay? The length of them, the thickness of them. You look more well groomed when they're short. You don't have to do this. In fact, you could probably do that instead. Instead of slicing that way, slice it that way if you want a Star Trek look. Enjoy. I hope it works out for you. Very hot here. If you're in Chicago, please stay warm. Just think of how sweaty I am right now as you freeze to death, and it'll help insulate you, I hope.